gathered here today to dedicate this fine lecture hall to Dr. Wortman. And we appreciate everyone that's come out tonight in this blistery weather, and at least it's sunny and it's clear. It could be sleety and snow, but depending on where you're at, but we really appreciate all the great turnout. I'd like to introduce a few people first. First, I'd like to introduce my board. Ms. Kelly Harrington, Richard Wilkie, members Steve Hayes. Anybody else? Mr. Hunt was not able to make it yet. I'd like to introduce our Superintendent, Jeff Lavender, and Mary Rosenman from the district office. I'm going to miss a lot of people. There's a lot of district personnel here. And we got thank you, and a lot of former teachers, and there are some former students here that admired Mr. Wortman. But this whole process started back in 2019, I guess, was about the time before COVID, and Dr. Wortman passed away, and shortly after that, Mrs. Wortman contacted me about trying to do this effort, and so we had a brainstorming session, and we got together, and so we initially started to put this thing together, and then COVID hit, and like everything, COVID destroyed. so it kind of sat on hold for a year and a half or so, and then when Dr. Beebe came on board, when we got through that, and we had an effort to start this process, and then it got stalled again, and then with Dr. Battle, we tried to move it forward, and it got stalled again. But then when Mr. Lavender came on board and got things settled down, I approached Mr. Lavender and said, can we do this? And Mr. Lavender wholeheartedly said, yeah, we got to do this. This is great. This is a great thing, and we got to make sure this happens. So Susan and I embarked on this thing, and after seemed like about 1,000 phone calls between the two of us and emails, we finally made this happen. So I believe, Ralph, I want to acknowledge our maintenance supervisor, Ralph Belloc. He was instrumental in making the renovation of the Olas Sky what it is today. The Olas Sky was named by Dr. Wortman, and that was really what ties Dr. Wortman here. Many things, but he named this, and everybody kind of recognized that he was part of this. But over the years, over the 20 plus years, when you ask anybody about the Olas Sky, they don't remember Dr. Wortman being connected to it, but he's the one that named it. And so that was part of this effort, was to dedicate this building to Dr. Wortman, so that when kids come by, they can see that that's the connection. And so that's what this is about. And but Ralph's team, they did a great job. As you've seen when you went inside, it's a marvelous piece. Brought it back to the original, and probably even better. But his staff member, one of his members, Ernie, is he here? Ernesto?
Yeah, we're here, Chuck.
Here he is. He's the man responsible for doing the lettering on the north wall over there.
Could he come up here?
Come on up here, Rudy. Come on up here. I think somebody wants to give you a hug.
For all of the Wortman and friends, thank you very much for taking care of the murals. They're beautiful. And then putting the name on the wall. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we want to start this this ceremony off with a blessing from the rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wright. I'm Rabbi Jeffrey Chesnall, and I am a friend of Susie Wortman's, and very proud that she asked me to do this invocation. The Randy Wortman Olas Lecture Hall here at Casa Grande Union High School becomes part of an institution of learning with the goal of inspiring students and other visitors to become subscribers and advocates that work together toward a world of enlightenment. May this building be a home for education, information, and the teaching of the values of truth, happiness, and contentment, and may it be a home for creativity and honesty, and all those who enter know the benefits of the blessings of knowledge. We want to continue the age-old process of skepticism, of questioning and investigation and learning and interpreting our civilization so that in each generation it will continue to have meaning and relevance. We seek enlightenment, an inner light whose fuel derives from the wells of intelligence, and should time or truth exhaust one source of knowledge, we must find another. Ours is an endless challenge, to search for wisdom from its hidden depths, and so that it may brighten and enlighten our lives. Institutions like this are the lifeblood of our civilization, and we're proud to have this lecture hall be part of that. Hebrew literature carries a blessing. Shema Adam Natal Helachenu B'Tikkun Olam Aruch Kavod Ha'Adam La'Olam Va'ed. Hear, all humanity, let us take up our share in repairing the world, and blessed is the dignity of humanity forever and ever. We strive to love all of life, the bitter and the sweet, with all our heart, with all our wisdom, and with all our strength. We shall teach them to our children through our words and deeds, to connect them to action, and teach all of the yesterdays, todays, and tomorrows for learning from our past, treasuring the present, and looking forward to building a bright future. As the Hebrew literature brings a blessing on special occasions such as this to mind, Ashreinu koach shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh, we rejoice and are thankful for the indomitable spirit that has sustained us and brought us forward to celebrate this joyous occasion. Thank you.
Ralph, come on up here. So we're going to unveil the plaque.
Thank you. Go upwards and then you have to. That is just handsome as can be.
All right, now we'll go back inside and we'll And we'll hear from Mr. Christopher Bradbrook. Dr. Wortman's wife, Susan. And like I said outside, she had a lot to do with this, and she got her story to tell.
Greetings to all of you. As the widow of Dr. Randy Wortman, thank you all so much for being here in this building, and some of you are here electronically to honor my husband. I also need to thank Chuck Wright, who worked with me to initiate this project. Thank you very much. And Mary Rosenbaum, ma'am, and Jeff Lavender to work on the details. Thank you very much. My perspective is pretty unique. I mean, in addition to being his partner in life, I also worked with him professionally at Casa Grande Union High School as his school psychologist. Throughout his career, Randy actually lived and demonstrated his values dealing with his life as an educator. Here, as he was opening the school, Randy immediately felt that it was important to recognize Native American culture as he celebrated and respected all of the different groups in Casa Grande. Therefore, he named the lecture hall Olaski as a tribute to the Native American students, a significant portion of our student body. The hall is round, so it was called Olas, means round, and Ki means house. When we had the formal opening, Randy included a leader of the Tohono O'odham who gave his blessing in their own language in the 4 directions. Another example of how Randy lived his values that I'd like to share with you that comes from his work in Chicago. For example, Randy always felt that women and girls should be treated the same as boys and men. Therefore, in the 1960s, girls were not included in competitive athletic teams. Randy Wortman was the first swim coach in the Chicago public schools to bring girls onto a high school swim team. When he decided to do it, Coach Wortman told his principal about what he was planning to do. His principal, Dr. Zimmerman, responded by, "Maybe it may not be safe for the girls to be in the pool the same time as the boys." Coach Wortman responded that girls were safe because sperms do not cross the lines in the pool. Fortunately, Dr. Zimmerman paused and then laughed. Remembering this story also shares Randy's importance of humor and laughter. No matter what is happening, and that year, the boys and girls had a very successful competition season. Also at Roosevelt High School in Chicago, oh, thank you, Naomi, who is a student of Randy, the 1960s, a few years ago. Randy's leadership was the sponsor of the stage crew. And he told the girls to wear pants to school. This is the 1960s. Girls had to wear skirts and dresses. the school. And then he told the girls if they wore pants to school, then they could do all the same tasks as the boys. Now, fortunately, Naomi remembered their assistant principal coming into the auditorium yelling at Mr. Wortman because his girls were wearing pants. You were one of those people, right? Mr. Wortman responded by asking the administrator to do the same tasks that the girls were doing. That meant climbing up that high ladder on the stage. That administrator responded, "She could do that because she was wearing a dress." Yes, afterwards, girls at that school were able to wear pants at school. He made a difference. Now there were a few years later, we're now to 1997. As the first principal of the new campus, Casa Grande Union High School, Randy established a 21st century vision, including an emphasis about STEM education, teacher satisfaction. Randy reached out to parents, encouraged dialogue and participation. Having spent his entire career in education, he was a collaborative leader for students, teachers, and parents. Randy's communications included his special sense of humor, right? That kept situations positive, and he didn't just hear others, he really listened. So here, he began facilitating classes for the school of paraprofessionals and worked towards mentoring the next generation of teachers. Here, Randy brought in the United States Marines ROTC students program. Yeah. Randy created the school's Learning Center, established the Gifted and Talented program, and the Second Chance Reading program. Randy was recognized by the Arizona School Administrators Association as Arts Principal of the Year. And I remember personally, he built the entire 2-story set for the school production of Les Mis. Here, Randy brought in suicide prevention programs and mental health education. Here, Randy collaborated with community and education organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, University of Arizona, and Central Arizona College. Here, Randy did create a comprehensive school safety plan that was before Columbine and expanded the school's vocational programs, introducing a new space, safe space for daycare. Now, renaming this space as the Wortman Olasky Hall would be the greatest honor that the board could possibly give to my late husband, the man who opened the Casa Grande Union High School and put it on the successful path it now follows. I'm going to end just one short perspective shared by his sister, Sina. Sina wanted to share her thoughts today. Physically, was not able to attend. But when they were children growing up in Chicago, Randy actually acted as her teacher as she was growing up. Sina was actually Randy's first student. He taught her some technical skills like electricity, along with guidance about how to live effectively and use humor to keep yourself positive. So Randy has understood Sina's needs, inspired her learning, and helped her to think for herself. So remember, Randy, remember that teachers are our real heroes. They don't wear capes. They just teach. They teach.
So if you know anything about Randy, you know that he was a little bit eccentric and he wore this kind of stuff. And one of my first encounters as a board member back in 97, 98 was Randy had this blue Suburban that he was pretty proud of, and it was tricked out with lots of electronics. And during the fall, the marching band was out there and they were practicing and they were using their amps and stuff. Well, the amps went out. Well, Randy got a fix for it. He pulls the Suburban out on the field and he lights them up, and the day was saved. And so I think at that point, Randy won the kids because they understood what a geek he was. And they loved that. And not all of them loved him, but that's how he won the kids over with. So the next person I'd like to have come down and talk is Christopher. Christopher is a former student. What year would you graduate?
Don't remind me, 2003.
Okay.
I see a lot of Bear fans in here. Thank you. My name is Chris. I was a student here at Casa Grande High School a little over 20 years ago. It's kind of surreal to be in this building, just because knowing the impact and what it meant to Randy to have it be named after him is truly an honor. But there's three things for me that reminds me of Randy and something that impacted my life and who I am today. So I want to talk about the three life changes for me and knowing Randy from a student, and then him becoming a friend and a mentor until he passed. So the very first thing I'll tell you, if you know Randy, is you got to find humor in your life. If Bill Nye, the science guy, that's Randy Wortman. He was a brainiac. He was super smart, but it all starts with finding humor in what you do. And he found humor in the most uncomfortable situations. No matter where you were at, and when a joke needed to happen, he definitely laid the line. The second piece for me is being kind, and really showing people that you care with action. As a student, I think that you grow, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you're trying to figure out who you are. And when you're in any type of education system, you just hope that there's going to be some sort of mentor or somebody that's going to show you that love and that care that's truly going to impact your life. And Randy did that every day. He did it to the point to where, Susie brought up Les Miserables. I'll never forget the things we would try to do to tick him off with his play set. Just because he took so much pride in building and doing those things. But he did the work, and he did it with students on the front line. And as a leader, in my career, that's the only thing you could ever want from any leader that you work for, is they're willing to do the hard work that they ask you to do. And then the third final thing that I think is really important is show compassion. So many times Randy, and going back, we did a play here called Bang Bang You're Dead, and that play was super impactful in the community. We had real life conversations about school violence and gun legislation, a lot of uncomfortable topics. And we were able to impact hundreds and hundreds of community students from this community on making another decision. Rather than maybe going down that same pathway that it's too real. And he believed that. So I couldn't think of a better person to get this building than Randy Wortman. Thank you.
Well, some of the improvements that Ralph and his crew made to this lecture hall all new seats. They're all brand new. No drinks or cookies or anything on the seat. All new carpet, put in new carpet, replaced all the lighting. The murals on both sides had some graffiti on them. He and his staff cleaned all that up and made it look, brought it back to new. Like I say, Ernie painted the Wortman on the back wall to the north. So that was all his lettering. We installed this handrail down the center for stability issues for people for be able to come down and not be worried. And then all the electronics, we replaced it. So it's quite a tribute here to bring this old girl back to normal. So, is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and say something? Please state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Linda Reed. In 2000, I returned to the city of my birth, Casa Grande. I'd never been here in my life. I was raised in Florence. You don't come across that freeway if you have parents from Florence. Some of you locals understand that. I came for a job interview. I hadn't been teaching for a year, but I came, and it was the easiest job interview I ever had in my whole 27-year career. He wanted a campus tour. He's so proud of this school. And the first thing we do is go for a walk. I've never been in Randy Wortman's office. And I got in a lot of trouble, but he always came to me. I didn't have to go to his office. He came to my door. But I can tell you that the most priceless, significant moment was right about out here by the Olas. And he offered me a contract. And I'm thinking, usually it's grueling. You have to go through several people. There have to be other people in the room. There has to be a witness. I mean, it was amazing. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven because first I needed a job. And second, I was coming home to die with the people in the graveyard over in Florence, so I was going to be close. But my career here at Casa Grande High School really, because of the mentoring, the friendship, the leadership, and the total wisdom of belief in teachers who were the rebels without a cause, usually they think. I grew more and became who I am today because of Dr. Randy Wortman. And it was because he took a teacher and put me as a second chance reading teacher, so I was with those kids. And then he made me a sophomore English teacher, and I thought, oh no, that's not far from freshmen. I really don't like them. And Chris Braybrooks is one of my former students. And the ultimate compliment for any teacher is to hear in the future how the future is and what we meant to them. Because my teachers, many of them were not fortunate enough to hear how I felt about them or what they did for me. And so Dr. Wortman, as an educator, was very unassuming. You would not think, looking at that geek and nerd at all, that he had anything to contribute. And that's people who judged him from the outside. But when I took that walk with him and he was so proud of this school, oh man, that's something weird. And then somebody gives you a job. And then I was one of the teachers that the press was in the classroom for a month or two. Wasn't it months? Didn't seem like forever. We had the Casa Grande Dispatch in our classroom, Chris, because I was a Bang Bang You're Dead teacher, and we were teaching alternatives to kids besides school violence. I cannot help but be a little emotional because I left Casa Grande to go home to Florence. And it was partly Randy who inspired me to go get my master's degree from ASU as an English language teacher. So I went home to Florence and I became a civil rights activist. And I never saw that coming. But Sue and Randy were there with me every step of the way. And so on behalf of ESS, which is special education, and English language learners, I got an education in school politics, in government agencies, and I definitely learned to be humble because I stood up and I would lose my life for what I stood up for. And Dr. Wortman is one of those people who inspired me to be somebody who would stand up for kids in all times, in all things, in all places. And the biggest and the best thing that he did was he took those bottom 100 kids from Casa Grande Union High School who typically drop out their freshman year. By the time they're seniors, they don't graduate. They don't know what statistically happened to them. They just didn't graduate. We had a high dropout rate, probably still do in some ways. But he took a group of teachers and he called us a team. Together, everyone achieves more. How original. And we rolled with those kids, and they became the class of 2005. So they graduated 2 years after I was Chris's teacher. What a powerful experience to watch 100 kids who were supposed future dropouts. There were 87 of them that walked in 2005 when we graduated as their teachers as well, because we spent 4 years. So that program speaks of Dr. Wortman being innovative, creative, and he would go against anyone for a kid. And teachers, many of them didn't like him because he basically let you know the truth. And it wasn't always easy. But I appreciate so much this experience. I am grateful to be here and stand as a witness that this place is a sacred, hallowed place, because it was not only blessed by our ancestors, it was blessed to have had so many wonderful educators and so many wonderful leaders in this community educate your children. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I will forever be changed. And I'm 68, I'm staying until I'm 70, just so you know, I'm not retiring. So I just can't leave. There are so many kids who still need crazy teachers. So thank you so much again for listening to me. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And Blanca Varela is present.
Would anyone else like to say
Blanca
something?
Varela is present.
I'm an old student. I'm the one that used to wear, I'm still wearing pants. I knew Randy from Roosevelt High School in Chicago back in the 60s, late 60s. And I first encountered him as a teacher. He was phenomenal. His humor was fantastic. He used to take pieces of toast. He was a physics teacher, and he would take pieces of toast, put them on a board. He would have like 4 pieces. And he loaded a water pistol with liquid margarine or something, and he showed you can do butter 1 piece of toast, but with this gun, you can spray 4 pieces at the same time, and showing how light disperses. Okay, that was one. But he took this shy Mexican student, I was 16, and allowed me to join the stage crew. And he taught us all how to change light bulbs, how to walk the catwalk. And we operated, at the time, was a carbon arc spotlight. If any of you are old enough to know what those are. You have to light those with a special lighter. And we were up on the loft, and after he taught us, we were alone up there. The only rule was, the only thing he said, do not let the carbons touch. Other than that, he trusted his students to run it, and there was never an accident that I'm aware of. But I think it was his lessons in class, and one lesson in particular that you're allowed to steal, those of you who still teach, that I never forgot. He was one of 2 outstanding teachers that I had in my life, and because of his lessons, I went into radio and television. I had the confidence to do that. But one of the lessons I'll never forget is he had these mystery boxes that he had, cigar boxes. Did he do that here? I thought he was retired in Casa Grande. I didn't know he was doing more. But he had these cigar boxes, and there were 6, and each box had an object. One might have a little rubber ball. Another one might have a pencil. Another one might have a cube. And another one might have a prison. I don't remember all. In fact, I never knew. But he taped them all up, gave them to the class, split us up into teams, and we had to, by deductive reasoning, we were graded on what we thought the object was in the box. Smooth, round, or lumpy, lumped along in the box. And we were graded on what we thought. But he never told us what was in the boxes. After everybody was graded, and I was on the stage crew, my peers said, "Naomi, go find out what's in the box." So working in his room, I was going through his closet, and I was looking for the boxes. And he came in from lunch, and he said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Oh, I was just looking for the cigar boxes. I wanted to see what was in them." He said, "They're not here." He took them home. "Oh, well, you can tell me. What was in them?" "No, I don't tell anybody." "You can tell me. You can tell me." "I won't tell anybody." No, because that's how science works. That's how life is. You'll never get the complete answer. You just have to take your best guess. And I never knew what was in them. And he never even told Susie what was in them. I never forgot that lesson.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? How about a grandson? Okay. Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Hi, everybody. I'm Fritz Fisher. I taught here for 20 years, and Randy hired me about 20 years ago, and which, I was thrilled. I came to interview as a math teacher job, and we had an interview, and then he said, "Well, you know what I really need is a physics teacher. Can't be math teachers I can find." He said, "I'll hire you as a math teacher, but I really, really need physics teachers." And so I jumped on that. I said, "Well, for 20 years I sat in the back a row at Stanford and listened in on the physics lectures." And he said, "Give me a lecture on the two-slit experiment." Okay, now that's a really esoteric thing, right? So I did, and then he said, "Okay, you're hired." And what he wanted me to do was to take charge of the freshman physics program. And this was the most innovative thing I think that he did here, was that program. And he worked an amazing amount. Randy could really, really work. He was a hard worker. So what he did to set up this physics program was he went to every one of our feeder schools and interviewed and explained to them why this was a good thing for students to have. And in this world of artificial intelligence, that was the perfect kind of education to get people started, right? And so he brought it together, and it worked just great. And what he did was he said, "Okay, only students who come into the physics program are ones that have done well in algebra in middle school." And that was just the perfect filter. It was just amazing. And so, Randy had a great background. He was a really good physics teacher. He did it for 15 years, and he really knew what he was doing. And that was the era where Eisenhower had the educators in at the cabinet level. He cared about that because of Sputnik. He cared about really making sure that we were competitive with Russians in science. And so Randy came through a tradition where physics was much harder in high school back then than it is now, even with the APs. It was more difficult and challenging. So I owe Randy a lot, and I'm just thrilled that he is able to be recognized in this manner. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else that would like to say anything? Hearing none, we'll, do you guys like to say something? Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is a long time planning. It's a dream come true. I hope that we'll start using this lecture hall on a regular basis now so that kids can experience it and get the vibes that were hatched here. So thank you all. If you need any help getting back up, we've got some assistance up there, but thank you for coming out, and we'll see you soon.